Okay, so there's been a lot of interest in the group, the people joining the group, about shin splints. So given that we've done quite a lot of information stuff, you know, what it is, how it happens, all that kind of stuff, I thought it might be useful to go through some exercises for it. So we're going to do some stretches for shin splints and some strengthening stuff for shin splints. I mean, I sometimes shy away a little bit from doing sort of generalised videos, because a lot of the work that I do, all of the work that I do with people is individualised and tailored to them. So I think the caveat with this, almost like a disclaimer that you see on the start of all videos, is that if in doubt, seek some professional help. So if you're in a lot of pain, more pain than you, and this is so subjective, but if you're in a lot of pain and it's unrelenting, it's keeping you awake at night, those kinds of things, you know, you might have a stress fracture. If you're a beginner runner, it's unlikely. You know, you've probably just got your typical shin splints, and you just have to kind of wade through it and rest and accept that you're gonna have to, you know, it is what it is. But if you, like I say, if you are in any doubt whatsoever, do get it checked out. It's not one of those things that you want to be messing about with. That said, we want to be looking at calf, ankle. There's loads of stuff that I do about feet. Your feet are vital as well. You can't really address sort of this area without looking at your feet, but I'm not going to go through foot exercises. So these are the exercises really, apart from one that I've got for sort of the glutes. Most of it is to do with your all of this area, the area where you get the shin splints and the stuff that's going on the back. So if you're in any way confused about any of that, there's 2 more videos on shin splints about what it is, why it happens, and what you need to do about it. And these are the exercises to go with it. So we're going to look at the calf stretch first, and my favourite calf stretch. And I'll tell you why it's my favourite calf stretch. So it doesn't need to be this fancy black half dome that you use. It can be a small step, it can be a rolled up towel, just something where you can put the ball of your foot on top, your heel down low, and then you take a tiny step forward. And when I say tiny, it's because you'll feel immediately that you do that, you'll feel this big pull down the back of the calf that you're stretching, so the one where the ball of the foot's up on top. So it is what it is. You've got however much tension in the back of your leg. You can hold here, you can step back and step into it again, so it becomes a little bit more dynamic. And with all of these, I'm calling it a stretch, and technically it is, I suppose, but really what we're after is blood flow to those tissues that are affected. And the more blood flow and oxygen you've got going through it, the more likely they are to heal. So I kind of like moving in and out of it a little bit, and you might find things ease off, and then you might hold it for a little bit longer, and all that's fine. And I'm just going to show you on the other side, this next one. So you've got what I was doing there, which is a straight leg, like so. So you see this leg straight, moving in and out, or just holding, but the heel stays down. The heel staying down is what gives you, I'm kind of bending and flexing, that's coming next, so you just got a bit tight on this side. So the heel stays down, leg stays straight for that one. And then there's a deeper muscle in the calf, it's called your soleus, and to get to that you actually bend the knee. So you can bend it first and then take your little step forward. You can kind of see I'm bending both knees and just sinking straight down. I'm trying desperately not to kind of bend or shift away from it. I'm just sinking straight down, and the work is in this leg, and it feels very different usually. It doesn't feel like the stretch or the same stretch you get with your legs straight. It doesn't mean it's not working. So from here you can then straighten and bend, straighten and bend. You can see I'm doing both legs, so I come straight down rather than just doing one where I'd be off balance. So bend and straighten. It's kind of pumping the muscles of the lower leg, forcing some blood through. And we're stretching off the back of the leg, because that's usually a lot stronger. It causes an imbalance with the front of the leg, or the muscles on the front, which then pull on the shins. Yeah, so bend and stretch, or just hold, or hold with a bent leg. You can step in and out of this one as well with a bent leg. A little bit more more tricky just to hold your balance. In and out. So that's your core stretch and your soleus stretch. The next two are with, you can do it with a foam roller if you have one. I couldn't dig mine out, don't know where it is. So I'm using a massage ball, and to be quite honest, I like this better anyway. But we're trying to get to the muscles, or the muscle, on the outside edge of your shin. And if you kind of have a poke around, you feel the blade of your shin running down, and you come just to the outside of that, so to the little toe side, and you can feel all this, it's a bit more squidgy on the side. You're looking for those muscles there with your ball. There's no getting away from this. It's probably not going to be very pleasant, particularly if you do have shin splints. So it's one of those, you plough through it if you can, and it's not too painful. It shouldn't leave you crippled, it shouldn't leave you crying. So the reason why I'm propping my leg up on a block is so that I can move my foot around so that the ankle's free. So I'll show you what I mean. Ball goes on the block, leg comes up, ball goes under. Find a place where you can move from, and I'm just moving incrementally, small movements up and down. I'm looking for those spots that are a little bit kind of grumpy. The bits that make you go, oh, those bits. And when you find one of those sore spots, you can pin the ball in place and then move at the ankle joint. So I'm just pointing and flexing the foot, maybe some circles, and then move on and find another spot. And if you lean over that ball, the ball will move then towards the outer edge of your calf, and you get those same, you get the outer muscles as well. And they're usually the ones that are pretty nippy, and they'll be pretty nippy up towards the knee usually as well. So that's my spot there. So I'm going to pause, and I'm going to do some movement with the foot, because those muscles control some of the movement at your ankles. So when you move the ankle, the muscle works. It's almost like pinning it in place and getting it to work. So that's a mobilisation for the front. You can also do the same thing on the back, so for the calf. I don't need quite as big a block for this. And so it's just a case, I'll do the other leg. It's just a case of setting up with this. So ball on a block or a book or whatever you've got. Can't really, no, you can't really do it on the floor with this. And then back of the ankle, just above the Achilles on the ball. And then it's the same thing from there. You're rolling up the back of the leg. You can probably hear my bottom just sliding across the floor as I roll up the back of the leg and back down. And again, where you find your tight spot or your grumpy spot, hold and then point and flex at the ankle or circle, and then search for your next spot. And you might be surprised at how uncomfortable the calves can be. Same thing, you can turn slightly so that you get the outer edge of your calf and turn the other way to get the inner edge. Pause when you need to, point and flex, circle, rinse and repeat. They're quite good to do before a run anyway. Nice. Not too much, but just nice to do before a run. So one final stretch. I'm giving you a few here. There's all sorts you can do, but these are kind of my favourites at the moment. So in order to stretch this down the front of the shin, the easiest way to get to it is to kneel up with your toes flat, or the top of your foot flat, keeping your heels not splayed out or not turned in, so keeping them on tram tracks. You sit your bum down on your heels, and for some people that might be, even this might be too much of a stretch, so you might find yourself having to take some weight off and come more to here, and then slowly finding your way down so that you can sit on your heels. If you find that this is it's okay, it's relatively easy, you can then start to add in a knee lift. I'm going to turn slightly so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm sat on my heels, I'm keeping upright to start with, and I'm going to lift one knee off the ground and then the other knee. It's almost like marching. Your body weight will shift a little bit, obviously, because you're trying to unweight one leg. Lifting and lowering. I have seen it done where you bring the weight forward, bring your fingertips to the ground, either side of your legs, and then lift. Yep, has some value. I kind of like the more neutral upright spine and that sensation that you get on the front of the ankle with that. So there are all the stretches and mobilisations. I said all of them, but not all of them. It is what it is. It is some of them. There are plenty more. So I'm going to take the toe spaces out so I can actually grip. So then you've got calf raises. And my head's going to disappear when I get on this stair, but I found this stair earlier. Makes it easy for me to show you what we're doing. So typical calf raise with both feet would be balls of the feet on the stair, and then lifting and lowering. You'll hear my ankles aren't cracking today, that's the first. Oh, there they go. Lifting and lowering. Once you get a feel for that, you bring it into a single leg. So leg out the back, lift and lower. So now we're into strengthening the bigger calf muscle at the back. And then much like we were doing before with the bent knee, with the stretch, you bring a bent knee into it and do the same again. I find this one quite awkward because you tend to want to straighten the knee as you come up and bend it as you go down. And you need to keep the same bend in the knee. I'm going to take that leg out of the way so you can hopefully see that the bend is staying roughly the same. Not an easy thing to do, it's a little bit tricky. So that's your calf raise and your soleus raise. And then wall squat, which you'll see me do for other things, but wall squat doesn't need to be a massive squat. In other words, you don't need to be right down here. About halfway is fine. Feet hip distance apart to start with, and then you're going to come up onto the toes, keeping everything else nice and still. And hoping that your mat doesn't slide away while you're doing this. I'm kind of feeling it sliding and feeling I'm going to finish up on my arms. Yep. So that's your bent knee. Wall sit. Again, working that bigger pump muscle, or the pump muscle in the muscles of the lower leg. What came next? Oh, yeah. The bridge. So I like the bridge. So same principle, trying to get to that deep pump muscle, the soleus. So you could do this, you can see how big my block is here. That's what I've got. If you've got a slightly bigger step, that's okay too. It's just finding something that you can bring the balls of your feet onto. And then keeping the heels lifted, you come up into your bridge. So various options with this. You can lift and lower, keeping the ball of the big toe firmly in contact with the block. You can extend one leg if you're feeling brave and do the same, lift and lower. Not as easy as it looks. Might not look that easy, obviously. And this leg can either be bent, like I'm doing here, or straight, whichever. And the other place to do this, or the other way to do this, is to come up and hold your bridge, and then lower and lift. Very similar to the wall sit version, you're lifting and lowering the heels. You're just in that bridge position, working the glutes as well. So there are a few options to get you started. It really is a bit of a pain in the bum to get rid of shin splints, unfortunately, but that's where to start, and if you've got any questions, just give me a shout as per.